This is Super Yacht News with Sisman.
Hi, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so we're starting with some breaking news actually, and this is out of the V&A waterfront in Cape Town in South Africa. As you can see from the photograph here, a 112-year-old tall ship called the Bark Europa fell over on its side, toppled over, similar to what we saw in Scotland recently. The vessel toppled over whilst it was in dry dock. Now, the vessel was being prepared to be put back in the water when the incident happened. According to reports, one of the crew was injured in the accident. The rest of the crew have been evacuated from the vessel. The vessel was in a maintenance period, and it was due, like I said, it was due to go back into the water. Now, there's no reason. This happened today on Saturday morning. So there's no reason yet has been given as to what happened, but it's far too early for anything like that to really be known. I'm sure there will be a full investigation into what has happened. Now, if you are in the area, if you live near the V&A waterfront, please be sure to get down there. We don't have any video footage of it right now. We just have this one single photograph. If you live in the area, please go down and send us what you have. You maybe already have some footage of it from earlier today, because it was reported that there were lots of people taking photos and and looking in that general direction. Now, the vessel was built in 1911 in the Stucklen Wharf in Hamburg, Germany. I've probably butchered the pronunciation. I'll put the name on the screen so you can see it. It's a 56-meter vessel. So that's it. We just started with that story. Like I said, it's just come in to us just before we were about to film, so we're very low on details. All right, so we'll move on to our next story, and this is about the Monaco Grand Prix in relation to the super yachts. Obviously, the Grand Prix goes right through the marina there. Up until recently, the Monaco Grand Prix, which is one of the original Grand Prix, going back to the 1950s, there was some sort of, it was unknown whether they were going to continue with the Grand Prix, because the new company that took over, they're asking for so much money, they weren't making enough. It's the same thing happened to the British Grand Prix recently. So what is happening, and this comes back to how it relates to super yachts, what they're going to do is they're going to start charging people on super yachts who watch the race. Now, up until this year, it wasn't required to, like if you were on a yacht in the marina and you were watching from the yacht, you didn't need a ticket to go to the event. But what they're going to do now is they're going to say that every yacht that's in the marina, I mean, don't forget the yachts are already paying to be in the marina for that event. They're saying now that everybody on board that yacht has to have a ticket, and the tickets are going to be between €211 and €300 each, depending on which part of the marina the yacht will be in. That includes the crew as well, but the crew apparently are going to be given their tickets. They're going to need a ticket, but they're going to get one for free. But all of the people who are on board those vessels are going to need a ticket as well. So that's going to it's going to create millions of euros more revenue than they were previously getting. It's going to make it considerably more expensive for the people on those yachts to watch. Now, I know what you're thinking, they're all rich, so it doesn't matter. But in actual fact, a lot of people charter those boats and will pay and go and be on board one of the yachts to watch the race from. It's a little bit more expensive than just going to the race, of course. But now they'll have to stump up the €300 as well. Like I said, in the past, they only needed a ticket if they left the yacht during the race. But now they'll need one to be on the yacht as well. All right, so we'll move on to our next story now. And actually, this is a report that that we've already published on the Super Yacht News channel. We're going to put a segment of that report on here, and it's about what will happen to the seized super yachts. Now, at the beginning of the war in Ukraine, when they started to seize the yachts, what they said the plan is that they were going to seize the yachts, they were going to sell them, and then they were going to give the money to Ukraine to help towards the war effort / rebuilding. But that currently isn't happening, and we did a report in San Remo recently where one of the vessels is currently moored. So we'll go to that report now. All right, so if we go all the way back to March, the first two vessels that were arrested by the Italians were Lady M in Imperia and Lena in San Remo, and this is Motoryacht Lena here. It's a 38-meter San Lorenzo, and it's owned by a Russian named Gennady Timchenko, who has close ties to Putin, and that's why the boat's been arrested. Just before the vessel was arrested, it was in Turkey, in Marmaris in Turkey. It arrived in Turkey on 7th of March, and then it left and came here and then was arrested. Now that obviously that was before all of the other Russian vessels went to Turkey, when they realized that they could go there unmolested. But I just find it kind of ironic that this boat was in Turkey at the beginning, came here, got arrested, and then and it's been here ever since. In the Italian press, it says that this vessel was arrested and was to be confiscated at a later date, but I don't think that's happening with any of the Italian boats. I think this boat and Lady M and Scheherazade and Sailing Yacht A, I think they're just waiting to give those boats back. I think what's going to happen is they're going to say to the owner of these boats, this is how much you owe for mooring fees and for the money that the government has had to pay to keep these in good condition, and now you can pay that to us and then we'll give you your boat back. I think that's what's going to happen. I don't think any boats are going to be confiscated. All right, so we'll move on to our next story. And this is about a fire that happened, I think it was on the 15th of May, at a shipyard in Turkey. Now, this shipyard is called the Damen shipyard. It's a shipyard that belongs to Damen, and Damen make the support vessels. They are well known for the support vessels. In fact, the support vessel that Jeff Bezos had built, that was built by Damen Yachting. Now, there were no injuries in that fire, and they said that the Damen Yachting put out a statement, and they said that was due to fast evacuation of the building and good response by the firefighters. And they also said that there are a couple, I think there are 2 or 3 new builds currently being built at that facility, but Damen Yachting said that no projects currently in build were affected by the fire that broke out at the facility. The construction hall in the Antalya Free Zone in Turkey, this is what it's called. And it says the hall is owned by Damen Shipyards and was substantially damaged in the blaze. So that was reported on social media recently. So we just wanted to update you on that story now. All right, so we'll move on to our next story. This is our final story, in fact. And this is information that's just coming out about Alfa Nero. You know the story of Alfa Nero. This vessel has been seized by the Antiguan government, and they are planning to sell the vessel as soon as they can. What the problem is the vessel has been sanctioned. It's part of a raft of sanctions against the believed owner, Andrei Guryev. He's denied that he owns it, but that it's still got sanctions against it by the US government. Now, since the Antiguan government have seized the vessel, they've reflagged it, and that's actually just showing up on AIS as an update. It's actually showing the Antigua and Barbuda flag. And the government has said that they're going to apply for licenses with the US government to be able to sell the vessel while it's still under sanctions. 18th of May, the US Department of the Treasury issued license to the government of Antigua and Barbuda, authorizing persons licensed by the US Treasury to participate in the government of Antigua and Barbuda auction of the vessel of Motoryacht Alfa Nero. Now, what does that mean exactly? It means that the US government is giving licenses to specific vetted bidders so they can bid on this vessel. So for instance, if an American citizen wanted to bid, they get a license, they can bid on the ship. If they win it, then it becomes theirs, even whilst the vessel is still under sanctions. It also says, the statement says it also authorizes transactions that include, but are not limited to, bidding on the purchase of the vessel, paying deposits, and providing financing, insurance, or funding in connection with the purchase. So that's kind of good news for the vessel, that the people will be allowed to bid on it. So they'll have to be pre-vetted by the US government. The US government will have to be satisfied that it's not going to end up back with the previous owner. Now, what they have said, that the ambassador to the US, Sanders, he says that there are some other issues, such as the fact that the vessel is still got the sanctions against it, and that's going to be more complicated to remove. But they are confident that it will happen at some point in the future. but there's no data on that yet. So it's going to be complicated. If somebody buys it while it's still sanctioned, it's going to be more complicated than it would be if the sanctions have been removed. I think this is probably a preferred, this is just my opinion now, but this is probably a preferred way to sell the vessel for the US government, because it almost certainly ensures that nobody who could possibly buy it and then sell back to the previous owner will be able to bid on it. So I would imagine that they will probably keep it like this until the vessel sells. Anyway, we will update you on that story and any of the other stories when we have more information. Okay, one last thing before I go. Remember to check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/eSysman. You'll find behind the scenes videos of how we made films, including the RV Petrol and Leith. Plus, we just put on an extra video based on our trip to Monaco, which was yesterday. So if you haven't seen that video, please be sure to check out the Monaco video that we put on the YouTube channel, but there is an extra video on the Patreon channel. You'll get early access to feature videos advert free, and you'll get to suggest topics for future videos and get to ask questions for upcoming Patreon only Q&As. Also be sure to check out our new SuperYacht channel. It's SuperYacht News. It's at superyacht-news. This is basically, these videos are all chopped up into single stories. So if you're not interested in watching a whole video, which can be, 15 minutes long, you can go there and subscribe and you'll get notifications of each individual story. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching. Please be sure to like this video, super important for the algorithm. Hit the subscribe button and hit the bell for future notifications. Like I said, thanks very much for watching, and I'll catch up with you soon. Bye-bye.